is here for you. It helps you in all you do. It helps you know you do. So tune in and now enjoy the fun. It's time for English, everyone. Studio Classroom is on the air. You can watch it everywhere. English is the way to go. So join us now, enjoy the show.
Hello friends and welcome to Studio Classroom. We're so glad you've joined us today. My name is Anne-Marie.
And my name is John. Friends, today is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do that together. We also have a question today that we want to begin our program with. Do you know why dirt is important?
Okay, dirt, that's that brown stuff that's on the ground. I think dirt is important because plants grow in the dirt. If we didn't have dirt, what would there be? Just rocks, right?
That's right. Dirt is really, really important, especially when it comes to the food that we eat. Did you know that there is a direct correlation between the quality of the soil or dirt and the quality of food that we consume? This is something we're going to be looking at today, friends. Let's go to our conversation right now.
Happy soil, healthy food. The surprising link between soil health and food quality. In the supermarket, two friends are shopping for food.
Cindy, why have you been looking at that package of noodles for so long?
I'm examining the label. It's crucial to pay attention to details like origin, ingredients, weight, shelf life, and nutritional information. Understanding the details about what we eat helps us make informed choices.
I can understand why it's good to read the nutrition facts, but why is it helpful to know where our food comes from?
Hi everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们先来看 shelf life 这个名词，意思是保质期、保存期限。例如 fearing the milk might have passed its shelf life, Sandra smelled the carton cautiously before pouring herself a glass. Sandra 担心牛奶可能已经过了保存期限，在倒牛奶前小心闻了一下牛奶盒。或是Because the landscape of technology changes so quickly, some computer skills have a limited shelf life. 由于科技的发展日新月异，有些电脑技能有一定的时效。或是 The bookstore discounted its 2023 travel guides, knowing their shelf life was limited due to ever-changing travel information. 由于旅游资讯不断的更新，这间书店知道指南的保质期有限，所以将2023年的旅游指南打折出售。
All right, friends, let's look at it right here. The surprising link between soil health and food quality. Now, earlier I mentioned that there is a direct relationship between the quality of soil and the quality of food. And sometimes we use the word link to talk about relationships like this, right?
That's right. You know, if there's something called a chain that's made up of these little connecting rings called links, but a link here is defined as a relationship between two things or situations where one affects the other. So there's a relationship there.
Exactly. So for example, you could say there's a link between these two problems. These two problems are related. But we see here that we're looking at a conversation between two friends in the supermarket. These two friends are shopping for food. And what does Max say here, John?
Well, he wonders why his friend Cindy is looking at these noodles. He says, Cindy, why have you been looking at that package of noodles for so long? If you say so long, that means that more than the normal amount of time has passed. And Cindy says, I'm examining the label. Friends, you need to know the word label. Label is a small piece of paper, right? Normally it's attached to an object and it gives information about it. You see labels at the store all the time.
Exactly. A lot of times that information or that label is printed right onto the package of food. And I know, at least for me, before I buy processed food or packaged food, I do try to read the label so that I know information about that food. And that's what we're talking about here. Cindy says it's crucial to pay attention to details like origin, ingredients, weight, shelf life, and nutritional information. But we see this word crucial here, and that is a very important word. What does it mean, John?
Well, it means just that. It means of great importance. So you could say, wow, it's really crucial that you study for a test, right? You can use that word for a lot of important things.
Exactly. So here's another example. He plays a crucial role in our company. The idea here is that without him, the company wouldn't be able to function properly because he's so important. But we read on. Cindy says, understanding the details about what we eat helps us make informed choices. I love the idea of informed choices. When you make an informed choice, it means that you're choosing something, but only after you have enough knowledge or help to make a good decision. It means that you are making a choice based on the information that you have.
Yeah, it's a really helpful word, an informed choice. We have that word info, right? That's short for information. You could say, make an informed choice and do research before choosing a college. You know, Anne-Marie, there's another phrase we use in English called an educated guess, and it doesn't have as much information as an informed choice, but if you know a little bit about a subject and then you guess, that's called an educated guess.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You could make an educated guess on something like, for example, a test. You might not know the exact answer to the question, but based on the information given, you could make an educated guess. Well, we read on here, Max says, I can understand why it's good to read the nutrition facts, but why is it helpful to know where our food comes from? Here's the question, friends. I also want to know the answer to this question. So let's get on with the next part of our conversation right now.
Happy soil, healthy food.
Well, different regions have unique specialties based on their environment and farming practices. Opting for local and seasonal ingredients not only ensures freshness, but also reduces the carbon footprint associated with long-distance transportation, thus diminishing environmental impact.
That's a good point. It's important to prioritize the health of the environment. Speaking of farming, we also need to make sure we have fertile soil, clean water sources, and sustainable farming practices that support healthy crop growth.
「接下来看动词 diminish， 意思是减弱、减少。譬如 Bridget's diminishing strength was obvious and the group stopped to rest after climbing halfway up the mountain. Bridget 的体力明显下降，所以大家爬到半山腰时就停下来休息。或是 As the sun began to set, the heat began to diminish, replaced by a cool evening breeze. 当夕阳西下时，热度也开始减弱，取而代之的是一股凉爽的晚风。或是 With regular exercise and a healthy diet, Annie's anxiety gradually diminished. 透过规律运动和健康饮食 ，Annie 的焦虑症逐渐减轻。
Well, here's the answer to that question, friends. We saw in the previous section, why is it helpful to know where our food comes from? Here's what Cindy says. She says, well, different regions have unique specialties based on their environment and farming practices. Let's take a look at that phrase based on first, friends.
Okay, the word that's in there, base, just means the bottom of something. So it literally means due to something or resulting from something. So based on, here we have based on the environment, but you can use based on in other ways.
Yeah, you sure can. Here's an example. Based on past experience, I know how to solve the problem. Because of my past experience, I can solve the problem. Sometimes you can substitute because of in the place of based on, friends, to better understand the sentence. But we keep going here. Opting for local and seasonal ingredients not only ensures freshness, but also reduces the carbon footprint. That is a buzzword, friends. So many people are talking about their carbon footprint or the carbon footprint of big companies. What does it mean, John?
Well, the carbon footprint means the amount of carbon dioxide, or CO2 is how you normally read that, the amount of CO2 released into the atmosphere as a result of an activity, like farming or like business or even just driving.
Okay, so a lot of times you will see the verb reduce next to this phrase carbon footprint. People are looking for ways to reduce their carbon footprint. So for example, if you grow your own food, that's one way to reduce your carbon footprint. All right. So this reduces the carbon footprint associated with long-distance transportation, thus diminishing environmental impact. This is what Cindy says. How does Max respond here, John?
Well, he says that's a good point. You know, a footprint is something that you leave in nature when you walk through, right? So we use that term, the carbon footprint. Max says it's a good point. It's important to prioritize the health of the environment. So the environment is like the natural world. But then he uses this phrase. He says, speaking of farming, we also need to make sure we have fertile soil, clean water sources, and sustainable farming practices that support healthy crop growth. That phrase, speaking of, is super useful.
It is so useful, and this is a way of introducing a new topic, but it has some type of connection to the previous thing.
Right.
So you can't start a conversation with the phrase speaking of. So if I'm not talking to you and I just walk up and I say, oh, speaking of this, that doesn't make any sense. We usually say speaking of in a conversation or in an article like this when something has been said and it gives us an idea or we have a thought that kind of has to do with what is already said.
Yeah, it's a great transition word, so you're not rude when you change the subject a little bit, but it's still connected. Oh, hey, Anne-Marie, speaking of farming and English, I see a word in there, sustainable, that I really want us to know. Sustainable farming practices. What does sustainable mean? Well, it means keeping an ecological or a natural world balance by avoiding the loss of natural resources like trees or things like that.
That's right. Sustainable is another one of those buzzwords, friend, one of those words that we see a lot in the news these days. It's a good one for you to know. But right now, it's time for us to learn something new in today's InfoCloud.
Hello friends, welcome to InfoCloud. Hey Garrett, did you know our coworker Dan is really into health and fitness? He works out at the office during lunch.
Yeah, his commitment to fitness is as solid as the ground beneath your feet. He really believes in taking care of his body and keeping it in top shape.
You just used a very long expression, as solid as the ground beneath your feet. Let's talk about that.
The expression as solid as the ground beneath your feet is often used to describe a firm and unwavering attitude towards something.
As solid as the ground beneath your feet suggests that something is very trustworthy and certain, that someone believes in it firmly.
This expression can be used to describe commitments, religious faith, or beliefs.
For example, Tony's faith in God is as solid as the ground beneath your feet. That means Tony believes very strongly in God. It's almost impossible to change his mind.
Students, we hope your commitment to learning English is as solid as the ground beneath your feet.
今天要跟大家介绍一个比较长的流行用语 as solid as the ground beneath your feet. 字面上是跟你脚下的地一样坚固。As solid as the ground beneath your feet 是形容对于一个信念非常执着的态度。例如 Dan's commitment to fitness is as solid as the ground beneath your feet. Dan 对于健身这件事情全人全心的投入。As solid as the ground beneath your feet 也代表着不会轻易的动摇或改变。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Happy soil, healthy food.
Thankfully, Taiwan's got that covered. Taiwan offers a robust variety of agricultural products thanks to its varied soil compositions across different regions. Where does your favorite food come from?
Oh, well, one is rice from Taidong. It's absolutely delicious thanks to the pollution-free environment and pristine water sources in that region. Taidong's rice is not only prized locally, but also celebrated all over the world.
“接着来看 robust 这个形容词，意思是强大的、强壮的。例如 ，The economy enjoyed a period of robust growth marked by low unemployment and rising wages. 经济经历了一段蓬勃发展时期，它的特征是低失业率和薪资上涨。或是 The company's robust security system was designed to protect it from cyber attacks. 该公司牢固的安全系统，目的在保护它免受网络攻击。或是 The old oak tree stood in the center of the field, its robust branches offering shade to all who needed some shade. 那棵老橡树矗立在田野中央，它强壮的树枝为所有需要遮荫的人提供阴凉。最后来看形容词 pristine， 意思是原始的、未受污染的。例如 The divers marveled at the pristine coral reefs full of colorful fish in the crystal clear water. 潜水员们对于清澈的海水中的原始珊瑚礁，并有色彩缤纷的鱼充满在其间，感到惊叹。Pristine 也有崭新的或是状况良好的意思。例如 ，Dressed in a pristine white uniform, the chef carefully arranged the meat and vegetables on the dinner plates. 厨师穿着洁白的制服，小心翼翼地将肉和蔬菜放在餐盘上。或是 Despite its age, the house was kept in pristine condition by the old woman who had lived there for decades. 尽管这栋房子已年代久远，但住在那里几十年的老妇人仍将它保持得非常良好。
Okay, let's continue on with our conversation here. Friends, Cindy responds to Max by saying, thankfully, Taiwan's got that covered. What a great phrase. If you have something covered, it means that it's been done, it's been provided, and everything you need is completely gotten already.
Yeah, it's nice when someone's got it covered when there's a problem. You could say, it was raining outside and we needed an umbrella. We didn't have one, but our friend had that covered and gave us an umbrella.
That's right. But we read on here, Taiwan offers a robust variety of agricultural products thanks to its varied soil compositions across different regions.
Yeah.
Okay, this is super interesting to me. Basically, what this is saying is that because there's many different types of soil in many different places in Taiwan, many different types of food are able to be grown. But let's talk about what a soil composition is. A composition just means the way that something as a whole is made up. So usually the idea here is that it's a mixture of different things that make up one bigger thing.
Yeah, you could say, look at the composition of instruments in the band. It's really interesting. You have two words in there, com, C-O-M, means together, like company, and position, like the place something is. So things are placed together. I think the soil here in Taiwan is amazing, and it's really good for growing a lot of foods.
It's definitely different than the soil I grew up with in the States, like the way it feels and the way it looks. And that's just because of where we are in the world, I think, right?
That's right. The composition of soil is made of a lot of different things. And we read about one specific place that grows rice. Max says, Cindy says, where does your favorite food come from? And Max has an answer.
That's right. Max says, oh, well, one is rice from Taidong. It's absolutely delicious thanks to the pollution-free environment and pristine water sources in that region. So we're learning about a few different things here that can really affect soil quality. He says that it is a pollution-free environment. So the idea here is that there's probably not a lot of factories around that are dumping waste into the soil. We've learned about that before, friends. And also there's really clean, clear water in that region. So water goes through the soil, right? I imagine that that would really affect what is left in the soil as well.
Yeah, and it changes the flavor of fruits as well. Depending on the soil, you'll get better or worse tasting fruits and vegetables. We read here, Taidong's rice is not only prized locally, but also celebrated all over the world. So we've got two adjectives there, prized and celebrated. They're both good things, but to be prized means to be valued. It's like something that you win, it's really precious. But celebrated means to be admired. So people talk about it, they really praise it a lot.
That's right. One of the biggest differences between those two words is that if you use the word prize, it usually means that it's something that you have in your possession or you can claim that thing. But anyone could celebrate anything, whether or not it's theirs.
That's right. Yeah, especially if something is from your town. Well, this is really interesting, and we'll definitely have to try some of that rice. But now it's time for our fun fact.
Wow! Hello, fact friends. I am Detective Ernest Finder, and I have a fun dirt fact for you today. Did you know that one spoonful of dirt can have over 10 billion living creatures in it? That's right, 10 billion. Wow! Did you know that that is more than the number of humans on the planet? All in one scoop. Wow! Amazing. And dirty. Ugh. And that's today's fun fact.
Friends, it's the end of our lesson, which means it's time for a quiz. John, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. What is another name for dirt? Is it gravel, ground, or soil?
Okay, dirt. Gravel is made of rocks, right?
Yes.
So not gravel. Ground can be basically anything. It doesn't have to be dirt. You could have rocky ground. I think it's soil. Soil always means some kind of a dirt.
That's right. You got that correct. And I hope you got that correct as well, friends. And I also hope you find this lesson interesting because I know I do. We're not done learning about healthy soil and how it affects our food. Make sure you come back tomorrow for the rest of our lesson. We'll see you then right here on Studio Classroom.
At all times, a good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.